You think you're smart about money. You've read the books, you follow the finance gurus, buy low, sell high, find the next Amazon, diversify your portfolio. You've got your Robinhood app, your crypto wallet, your hot stock tips from Reddit. You feel like a modern investor. You're 600 years behind, because while you're frantically refreshing your portfolio at 2 a.m., stressing about whether Tesla's going to moon or crash, a group of celibate guys who took literal vows of poverty figured out the entire game in the 1400s. In their strategy, it was so stupidly simple, so breathtakingly boring, that Wall Street has spent centuries trying to make you forget it exists. They built wealth machines that survived plagues, wars, revolutions, and the actual collapse of empires. Their institutions are still richer than most hedge funds. And the method they used? You already own a watered-down version of it. You just don't realize you're using a 600-year-old playbook written by monks. And then it gets better.
Picture this. You wake up in medieval France. Your job? Pray 7 times a day. Copy manuscripts by candlelight, and contemplate eternity. Your salary? 0. You can't own property, can't have a bank account, can't even keep the coins someone gives you. Oh, and by the way, you're responsible for feeding, clothing, housing, and employing hundreds of people for centuries. Not years, not decades, centuries. Your monastery has to survive the Black Death, peasant revolts, invading armies, corrupt kings, and economic collapses that haven't even happened yet. One bad investment, one failed harvest, the entire spiritual operation, the prayers, the libraries, the mission, collapses like a Ponzi scheme at an SEC hearing. And you can't just declare bankruptcy and start a podcast about your journey. It's like being asked to manage a $1 trillion endowment fund, except you're not allowed to own anything, you have no financial training, and half your colleagues think charging interest is a sin. So, what do you do?
The official story? Modern investing was invented in the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company, stock exchanges. That's when humanity got smart about money. Before that, primitive. Kings hoarding gold in towers, lords with one castle and one field, no sophistication, no diversification, just feudalism. That's the narrative. Clean, simple, makes modern finance look like the hero of progress. But that's only the version Wall Street wants you to remember, because it makes them the inventors. It justifies the fees, the complexity, the jargon. You need us. Investing is hard. Let the experts handle it. The truth? Monasteries like Cluny Abbey in France weren't just praying. They were running the first multinational wealth management firms in history, and they faced a problem that would make any modern CFO break out in hives. How do you fund an institution designed to last forever? Not 10 years, not a business quarter, not until the next earnings call. Forever. Their solution wasn't genius. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't a brilliant bet on the medieval equivalent of GameStop. It was a system so boring, so unglamorous, that it actually worked.
Suspicious? Because what the monks built wasn't based on secret knowledge, insider information, or divine revelation. It was based on something even more radical, a complete, almost religious rejection of gambling. Here's the part they never mention. The monks didn't try to pick winners. They didn't look for the next big thing. They didn't bet on one lucky farm or one brilliant trade. They did something Wall Street tells you is impossible. They tried to own the entire game.
The dirty secret of monastic wealth? It was built on reckless discipline. I know, that sounds like a contradiction. It's not. Here's what a typical monastery's portfolio looked like, and I'm using modern terms because this is going to blow your mind. The real estate division. Farmlands in Burgundy, vineyards in Champagne, pastures in Normandy, spread across different regions, different climates, different political jurisdictions. Why? So one drought, one flood, one local war didn't wipe them out. Geographic diversification, 600 years before anyone called it that. The consumer staples division, mills, Bakeries, breweries, workshops, things people needed whether the economy was booming or collapsing, recession-proof revenue streams. People need bread and beer in good times and bad times. The Technology and Services Division, scribes copying books, the medieval version of intellectual property licensing, healers running hospitals, teachers educating nobles' kids, high-margin services that generated prestige and cash. The Fixed Income Division, tithes from surrounding villages, rents from tenant farmers, predictable, steady cash flow like clockwork, the medieval equivalent of bond payments. This wasn't an accident, this wasn't random, this was deliberate, institutionalized paranoia disguised as prudence. The monks watched kings go bankrupt betting on single gold mines. They watched lords lose everything when their one crop failed. They watched knights gamble their entire estates on one battle, one tournament, one bad harvest. And the monks said, "We will never, ever, ever do that." This wasn't an accident. It was a ticking time bomb for anyone who refused to learn the lesson, and everyone involved pretended it didn't exist. It's like watching a medieval day trader bet his entire fortune on wheat futures while the monastery quietly owns the wheat fields, the mill that grinds the wheat, the bakery that makes the bread, and the village that buys the bread. The day trader might get lucky once. The monastery never loses.
Now, fast forward 600 years. What did 20th century finance invent with great fanfare and Nobel Prizes? The index fund. What is an index fund? It's a single investment that owns tiny pieces of hundreds of companies. You don't pick Amazon. You don't time the market. You don't try to find the next Tesla. You just own a slice of everything, the entire market. The S&P 500, that's 500 companies. If one fails, you barely notice. If one explodes, you benefit. You're not gambling on winners, you're owning the casino. Sound familiar? The Monk's Vineyard in Burgundy? That's your consumer staples ETF. The monastery's watermill serving 10 villages? That's your utility stock paying dividends. Their scattered farms across 3 provinces? That's the geographic diversification in your global index fund. Their mix of farms, services, and real estate? That's your portfolio balanced across sectors. The core principle is identical. Wealth isn't built by finding the one needle in the haystack. It's built by owning the entire haystack, patiently, boringly, for centuries. The get-rich-quick scheme? That's a thrilling, exhausting sprint where you usually trip and fall. The monastic model, the index fund, is a slow, automated, boring walk where you almost always win. And here's the kicker. The monks never checked their portfolio every day. They didn't have apps. They didn't panic sell during the 100 Years' War. They didn't FOMO into the tulip bubble. Okay, wrong century, but you get it. They set up the system, they trusted the system, they let time do the work. Because the real secret they discovered wasn't how to make money fast, it was how to make time your most powerful asset. And that's a strategy no market crash, no recession, no economic panic has ever defeated.
So the next time some finance bro tells you about his proprietary trading strategy or his exclusive stock picks, just remember, a bunch of medieval monks in robes with zero financial education, who weren't even allowed to own money, built a better system than he ever will. They didn't beat the market, they became the market. And you already have access to their exact playbook. It's called an indexed fund. It costs $10 to start, and it's been working perfectly for 600 years. The only question is, are you going to keep gambling like a feudal lord betting on one lucky harvest, or are you going to invest like a monk who plans to still be wealthy in the year 2624? Your move.
Now, if you love my videos and more like this, please hit the like and subscribe button.